Welcome back to Dubsy Breaks for another episode of Building Mandalore and Lego. I've managed to clear a bit of space in front of the MOC here, so I'm now going to drag the whole section out here. And that's going to enable me to get behind and connect all of the wires together for the lights. Once I've done that, I can then connect these two buildings together with the bridge across there. So exciting times to get that done. Once it's all connected, I'll just push it right back against the wall. And the other thing I want to start working on today as well is the section just up here. If I can get that entire building all ready for the palace that's going on the top, that would be fantastic. So without further ado, let's try and bring it out and get all those wires connected. And that's the MOC pulled away from the wall there. It's only by about 18 inches or so, but it's enough for me to get behind that and get to the wires. Now I can see all the wires. There's a couple on this side that are poking out, but the ones on this side have actually gone into the building a little bit, and I can't quite reach them. So I'm going to need to get some long tweezers or something to hook them all the way back so that I can then connect them to a connection board. Now my one concern at the moment though is this crack here, and it's because the table is bowing. Now I have reinforced this table with some wood underneath. I did that before I started the build as I knew this was going to be heavy, but I clearly haven't reinforced it enough, and the sheer weight of it is bowing the table just that little bit. And the problem is, obviously these buildings here are going to be tilting in just a very small fraction. However, it's going to be enough that when it comes to joining the two together with the bridge, it's not going to line up properly. So that is going to cause a few problems further down the line. But first of all, let's try and get those wires out, get them all connected at the back, and then once I've done that, I'm going to start work on the building over on the left there. And this is the section that we're going to be working on next, which is where we're going to have the battle between Ashoka and Darth Maul. Now this is the image that I'm going to be using for the source material to get the inspiration from. This takes place above the city of Mandalore. It's not actually inside of it. I can't do that as obviously this is just the city part I'm doing, and I'm putting this in purely as an Easter egg and to use up the area on the side of the build. What I'm going to be doing first of all is building this back wall up along here, put some plates in on the bottom which I'll tile off probably in a dark colour, and on both ends there'll also be the dark bluish grey. On the back wall, I want to use the cross beams, and that's purely to give it a little bit more character. In the Clone Wars episode, you see the beams for as far as the eye can see. It just goes all the way across. I can't do that on the MOC, so I'm just putting those in here just to give it that little bit extra depth. So let's start off by building those walls up, get the framework all set up, and then we'll work out how we're going to be doing the bars that they have the battle on. You can tell when you're getting towards the end of a MOC build series, when you're running low on brick and plate, use anything you've got to do the job. And here we're using the 2x8 arches just to give it the strength for this section just here. And also the plates here. Again, it's just to help fill everything up, make everything join together easier. And yeah, it's just all we got available at the moment. And here is the start of the walls that are going on the back, and I've decided I'm not going to put these above this section just here. So I'm going to have the bars coming out, or the beams coming out of the wall just here. But I'm going to just go for a plain grey wall across the top of it. Now on the bottom bit here, I'm not quite sure what I want to put just yet. I was originally going to put black tiles, however I think that might clash a little bit when you're looking slightly down from the top. I don't particularly want to put a dark bluish grey on there because obviously it's going to clash with the walls. One thing I was considering doing was putting some black plate down and then putting some dark trans tiles on top of it. And it might give it a smoke-like effect because obviously there was loads of battles going on below when this took place, so it just looked like a smoky sort of like texture. So I'm not sure whether or not it's going to look right or not. It's something I'm going to experiment with a little bit later on down the line. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put the beams coming out of the walls here, build the walls back up and see how it looks. And here we have the beams all in place. I'm really happy with how they've come along. I'm hoping that once the roof's on, it's going to be nice and dark. You're not really going to take much notice of the way it sticks out of the wall here, as obviously that's not how it is in the show. I have got one light here which is going to be coming across and shining down into the centre here, and that's going to be, as you see in the show, when Darth Maul's gauntlets flying above, getting ready to try and pick him up. I think once I've got the minifigures on there, it is going to be taking away the focus from all of the other bits around it. But it will be nice to get rid of this light tan colour on the bottom, as it just doesn't look right having that there. It's distracting me a little bit from what the overall look's going to look like. But let's plate this off on the top here, put the support beams carrying on and carry on building the walls all around it. And then once we've done that, I'll start thinking about what I'm going to put on the bottom here. And that is such a satisfying feeling, seeing this all finished off now. This building is up to the height that it needs to be. Just need to put some support beams across the top here and then plate it all off. That side over there is an art plate higher, I believe, so I just need to put them all on this section just here. Need to just double check the heights of that. Really looking forward to tiling all of this off and making it look nice and tidy and clean finishing, and then put Ahsoka and Darth Maul on there, and then look forward to seeing how that looks once it's all lit up. But yeah, it's nice to see another part of the build all done. I was hoping I was going to get this build done within a couple of weeks. However, there are so many pieces I do need to order. I thought I was going to be okay, but it's not going to be the case, and it's mainly for the actual palace itself. The design that I want to do on the windows, I've changed my mind on it. I want to make it look a little bit more screen accurate, and that does mean I need to order in a handful more parts, but we get there. There's no hurry to get this finished. We've got plenty of time, but yeah, it's coming on nicely. And there we have the floor all tiled off, and Ahsoka and Darth Maul having their battle. I couldn't find the other lightsaber blade, so it's the part where Ahsoka's been disarmed and this lightsaber is falling to the ground. Really pleased that I didn't put any more of these further up. I think it would have looked a little bit too much. There would have been too much going on behind. I think it's going to look really good once I have the light shining through, and I'm hoping it's just going to be centering just above the two minifigures there. So fingers crossed that'll come out well. Anyway, now that section is all finished, let's turn our attention to a different part of the MOC. And next up, I want to turn my attention to this section just here, and this is outside the right-hand building. I did have a build here originally, however, I wasn't that happy with it, so I destroyed that. I need to come up with something different on there. Need to work out where I'm going to tile the floor here, do bricks on there, like a SNOT technique, or a mixture of both. I am getting very, very low on both light bluish and dark bluish grey bricks now. So it'd also be nice if I can get this all, the door frame here all finished off as well, and put some details on the SNOT bricks further up. But again, at this moment in time, I'm not sure what I've got available, so I might need to put an order in for small parts just so I can get all of those parts finished. But without further ado, let's get the bricks and plates out and see what we can come up with. Work is started outside the front of the door section just here, but I'm not happy with this. It just doesn't look Mandalorian type. It looks like I've just put a load of grey bricks down in any old pattern. So I want to go back to looking at some pictures online, look at some concept art and different things like that, and see what I can come up with on there. Over here, I want to put some round tiles that I've got, or round slopes, and I want to put some grill effects in there so it looks more like a vent system of some description. And up here, again, not sure what I'm going to put on there, but it's going to be at an angle and we'll cover up all those gaps. But let's go back to the drawing board with this part just here and see what else we can do. And here is the revised SNOT technique, and much happier with this. Here is the source material I've used for the design. And although in the picture it does look more of a light bluish or a grey blue sort of colour, I did feel that I wanted to mix the colours up a little bit. So I've used my artistic license here. And I thought by adding white, it's just going to break it up a little bit because there's so much grey going on in the MOC. I thought it would look a little bit better having it in white, so that's why I've gone for that reason. And as you can see, there are a few gaps around the white lines, but it was the only way that I could get the lines to be thin and in the right shape how I wanted it to be. But yeah, really happy with how that's come along. Now I've done that, I can work on the vents that I want to put on the left hand side here, and also on the back here. I just put the bricks there just to keep everything in place, but again, I'm considering putting some more details either side, or at least to the left of the door there. So I just make a decision on that, and once I've decided, I'll carry on building the floor up at the back there. And another section of the MOC has been completed. I'm so glad I took all the extra time to do this section down here. Much happier with the markings on the floor there. Was considering ordering some of these pieces here in the sand blue. However, I really like the white as it is. I think it just gives it a little bit of a brightness to the MOC, where obviously this is so grey. I know you've got a bit of yellow there, but I do think adding that bit of white does add a little bit to it. So although it might not be screen accurate, a lot of this is my own interpretation, using some artistic license. Like with these bits here, this is from the same source material as these markings here. I just saw those in the back. I thought that's going to look pretty cool just back there. Got the little mini build over on the side there, and I'm going to probably put a mini speeder on here as well, I think. But yeah, really happy with how it's come along. These sections just here, legal building technique, they just rest in place. But again, it works, it looks good. Happy with how that has all come out. Now the build, as I mentioned before, is getting very close to the end. I do still have to do all of the interior builds on here. So we've got the rooms behind this section here, the floating building, there's some rooms in there. We've got a couple behind that section just there. That one, it doesn't come out, so that will just be staying as it is. And again, we've got a couple there, so I can do some more storytelling within that as well, should I wish to do so. Now, the one of the things I do need to work on is the top section here. I need to get this all leveled off so that it is the same height as this part here, so I can then join the bridge together. Now, this week I did connect all the wires. I haven't checked to see if the lights are working. Worry about that further down the line. I've got a feeling they're going to have problems there. But what I will be doing on top of this build, I'm going to tile it all off, and I'm going to build the palace as a separate build, and it's just going to rest on the tiles on the top. It's going to enable me to work on the palace at my desk. This building is so high now, it is pretty much up to 6 foot in height. I mean, it's on a table which is probably about 40 centimetres, so it gives you a good idea of how big this build is. And I just don't want to be stretching up there to do it. I don't think I'm going to be, it's not going to be as easy as if I build it on my desk and then just place the build on there. And the other good thing as well is if the frame room comes out really well, I can keep it as a separate standalone build and keep it on display long after this MOC has been taken apart. But yeah, really pleased with how the build's come along. Still got to do the platform in there, still got loads of little details to do, but we are getting very close to the end of the build series. Last week I think I said I thought I had about 2 or 3 weeks left, and I think 3 weeks is probably being realistic, maybe 4, and that's purely on waiting for parts to come in from lego.com or Bricklink orders, wherever I get the parts from, because there are still so many pieces I need to order in, especially for the palace. Anyway, that's all we got time for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think will be interested in building Mandalore or building Gotham, if you could share the channel with them, I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, thanks for watching by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.